Okay. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now I can hear you.
All right.
Man,
Whew.
I'm about to cut this video camera off because I'm looking wild. How you cut this
That's
thing
all
off?
right. You're looking good. Yes.
Uh, I'm coming in from work, so I'm looking wild. Let me send this to Tracy and everybody now. Let me see. Hold tight. Keep talking though.
Mhm. Trying to get back up Mrs. Katherine Johnson because I don't want y'all to miss out on a good woman here. So we're gonna say, let's do it again, and we're gonna read it again. Y'all bear with me. While over this next couple of cycles, while I get everything together, get it going, okay? But in the meantime, in between time, I want to pay homage and give a great blessing up in the skies to Mrs. Katherine Johnson. Katherine Johnson was an American mathematician whose calculations of orbital mechanics as a NASA employee were critical to the success of the first and subsequent U.S. crewed space flights. During her 33-year at NASA and its predecessor, she earned a reputation for mastering complex manual calculations and helped pioneer the use of computers to perform the tasks. The space agency noted her historical as one of the first African American women to work at, as a NASA scientist. Johnson's work included calculating trajectories, launch windows, and emergency return paths for Project Mercury spaceflights, including those for astronauts Alan Shepard, the first American in space, and John Glenn, the first American in orbit, and rendezvous paths for the Apollo lunar module and command module on flights to the moon. Her calculations were also essential to the beginning of the space shuttle program, and she worked on plans for a mission to Mars. She was known as a human computer for her tremendous mathematical capability and ability to work with space trajectories with such little technology and recognition at the time. In 2015, President Barack Obama awarded Johnson the Presidential Medal of Freedom. All right. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And in homage to Mrs. Katherine Johnson, I must say, um, Mrs. Taraji P. Henson, she played a wonderful, wonderful role in Hidden Figures. So bear with me as I show you this particular snippet from Hidden Figures because I want you to see this relates to our topic tonight as it pertains to femininity versus masculinity. I'm just going to share my screen real quick, if you don't mind. And we're going to get into it. I want to play it right at 3. Okay. So here's a scene where the boss is looking for Mrs. Johnson, and she had to go all the way down the block and up the street a half a mile just to utilize the ladies' room. So in support of African American Month year, let's go ahead and hit this.
Stand back. 40 minutes again? What are you doing? You might have serious. I feel a lot of faith in you. There's no bathroom. What do you mean there's no bathroom? There is no bathroom. There are no colored bathrooms in this building or any building outside of Maryland. Did you know that? I have to send them teachers to be. And I can't use one of the handy bites. Mr. Harrison. Knees, heels, simple string of pearls. Well, I don't own pearls. Lord knows you don't pay colors enough to afford pearls. And I work like a dog, day and night, living off of coffee from a pot none of you want to touch.
That part. So you see a little anger there, you see a little bit of emotion, but in most times that's necessary with women today. I think she had every right to speak up for herself at that point. But I'm gonna go ahead and exit my screen. I'm gonna stop screen, exit full screen, and I want to discuss with you some of my findings for the day as it pertains to women. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with in the Wikipedia, and we know all may not be true in Wikipedia, but I needed something real quick and fast. But it did mention this. Women were responsible for maintenance activities, including economic, social, political, and religious life in both the household and the community. Different power structures between people can exist at the same time. So for man and woman, both we have different gifts, we have different power structures, but they can exist at the same time. Not in general, in the forefront. So the men is to be in the forefront. But for some women, they say many are called, but few are chosen, such as Abigail, Esther, Jael, the woman who drove the tent peg into the enemy commander's temple, Hagar, Rahab. So as you can see, there's a patriarchy present, but there's also a heterarchy also present. There's also evidence of gender balance. It has to balance itself out. There's no attempt to portray women as deserving of less because of the natural natures. And I'm gonna read a quick excerpt from Ruth's Proverbs 31 because it speaks of two types, but it's one woman. Through the work of our hands, that's through the work of our hands and the posture of our hearts. So our hands is doing the heavy lifting in some way, shape, or form. But the posture of our hearts is soft and kind and sweet. But then we also have 1 Corinthians 11:11. However, in the Lord, neither is the woman independent of man, nor is man independent of woman. So you see the balance happening there again. Over time, views of women has changed throughout history. So with that being said, tonight's topics it's very intriguing, and I want to have an open forum for you guys to just speak out on it. It's not femininity versus masculinity, because if that's the case, why the competition? But also the variety of roles in a relationship, finding unity and balance. And what does she want for V-Day? V-Day meaning Valentine's Day. And does it even matter? And do you know how to fight through the storm? So with that being said, I have a few amazing guests on this panel. And these people are thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your energy. And I really appreciate you. Please, femininity versus masculinity. Why the competition?
Are we talking about in the workplaces, or are we talking about just in general, or in a relationship? What are we talking about when you say versus? Because that sounds like we're against each other. So which one?
In general, overall, why the competition? Why is it that there's this thing that I keep hearing all over YouTube, Instagram? It's just bugging me. I'm trying to figure out, like, oh, women, they're too masculine, and then some men are just so feminine, and how can we do that? And it's going on in this day and time. And I know before, back in the older days, it did happen, but not as heavy and harsh as it's happening now. So before y'all get started, since let me see if I can get this play.
Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do anything better
So as we get more people in,
we get a lot of feedback too.
Where did that come from? Where did this competition between us come from, especially as Black couples, and then really Black or white? anything you can do, I can do better than you. What is that about? Why are we competing against each other? Well,
Some
we should be
competition
trying
is
to
good.
team up. Can you
Some
hear me now?
competition is good. It depends on what we're doing. I mean, if you're talking about relationship, then that's a whole different dynamic. If you're talking about workforce, that's a whole different dynamic. But if you're talking about just in general, like growing up, there was competition between my brother and I when we played basketball. That was healthy competition. So to really say where did it come from, it comes from when we were kids. It's just a competitiveness in us as young people. Girls are smarter than boys and this and that. I mean, come on, if you think about it, the stigma started when you was in elementary, or guys could play basketball better than girls. It was something that was healthy as we were young and a little bit competition. Now, where it got distorted is probably the main question. When did it get distorted? And when did it overbleed in relationship and in the workforce that became toxic or unhealthy in building up people in general?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did you see that change or transition happen? Would it be in the 60s? I would say I give it 20 years a time, 60s, 80s, or in these 20s, because I feel like in 2020, I have completely lost the realm of how to go forward in a room of men. So, you know, I can put I would say a quick experience on it. Back in the days, I was told that I need to go in the kitchen. I cannot be in conversation with men. But lo and behold, my career pushes me into a room full of men. So at that point, I had to be just as competitive, if not more, 10 times more than anyone else. And it seemed like a struggle. And the minute that you have a, a issue or a problem is, oh well, she acting like a typical black woman, angry black woman. So my question is, what's up with that? And how do I get better? When I say
Is it how you get better or how we educate for betterness? I mean,
what
if betterness is not a word, excuse me. Or how we educate for people to be better, because how you do it is different gonna be how I do it. But how we
when I say
educate.
I mean we, as in
Okay, okay,
I,
gotcha.
the
I just want to
woman.
make sure because I didn't want to step on your toes by saying
No,
how
ma'am.
you do it. But when you say we, then that creates a different scenario. So I'll go with how do we do it? We make it a teachable moment when we see it happening. So when you see something happening, like today, I just had my counseling session, and my boss said he wanted me to be more outspoken because I'm working in the field of men. And I said, let me tell you why I'm not outspoken. Because when I sit here and I said, oh, that picture looked good, it's ignored. And then soon as the guy next to me say, that picture looked nice, we ought to keep it. Oh, yeah, it's a great idea. So what's the difference between that picture looked good and he just added another adjective, we need to keep it, as opposed to me saying the same thing? So therefore, like I told my boss, after a while, I just sit back and take notes and I exert myself when it's needed. And when it's not needed, I'm taking notes. Because if it makes some feel that they have to be in control constantly, I'm not in that battle with you. Do that make sense? So for me, it's about timing. So then it was a good education moment for him because he said, well, I need to hear from you because you have the academics, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding, and I need to hear you to be more outspoken. I said, well, then I need you to help me educate them that my voice matters just as much as you telling me to do right here in private. Does that make sense?
More than enough sense.
So that means
Absolutely.
it can come from me all day long, but when it comes from his kind, and I mean male, I mean Caucasian, whatever, however you want to put it to it, they need to hear it from him, and see he and I working together and making sure that everyone in the room has a voice and everyone in the room has a place to say something when it's said and to be respectful. That's the bottom line, is respect. But it takes both of us to keep a certain group of mindset of people that don't want to grab it. Some people will, some people won't. It all depends.
Hmm. And I must say, it's hard charging. I'm glad you touched that topic on the workforce because that right there is factual and actual.
Well,
And
that's not even the workforce, but that can be in relationship too, depending on how
oh,
the man was reared. So it's all a teachable moment for all of us. All of us have to be teachable, whether it's myself or you or anyone out there. We always have to be teachable and want to learn. If you don't have the desire to learn and grow, and listen to someone, communicate with them, ask questions, and respect their point of view, even when you disagree, then there's always going to be some type of struggle, whether it's personal or professional. So it's a two-way street with all of us.
Yeah, I say for ladies in a relationship, I think sometimes taking that one step down, but being prepared. You ever see like a race, and the girls are racing, they're racing, and they're going around the track, and they're going around the track, and then the baton goes from one person to the other. It's like be prepared to pick up that baton in the event of, because I have a friend of mine. He always say, he tell his sister, why she always thinking and thinking, why she just take some time out to stop thinking. And you're right. You know, 99.99% of the time when we're in that meeting, we're thinking about 55 other things that needs to get done between now and the next 6 hours. And I don't think, men really is able to understand that, because we got to think about the children. We got to think about, all the appointments. We got to think about tomorrow. But as God forbid something was to happen as an actual emergency, don't be there like the blonde in the woods, like, oh my gosh, help me. No, you're gonna be able to pick up that torch and push through whatever the battles is. And y'all gonna come together as a team, but it's not a competition. And it's not a competition between me and my brother. That's my brother. Why would there ever be? We from the same cloth. We got to start pulling together and figuring out, like, okay, if your strength is here. I think the pastor that married me, two of us, they say if your strength is here, then and your weakness is here, use that to balance each other out. Don't use that to tear each other down. And so I think that's something that we need to like continue to push out, because I don't. And then the other thing is speaking out against the negativity that they do see. Like, bro, if you see something negative going on, or you hear anything negative that may happen, and it's dealing within the workforce or the immediate community, reach out to a sister. Tell me, I guess the scoop, they would say, but at the same time, it's not good to know that this brother knew this information all this time, and he couldn't tell me just solely because he was trying to save his ass, or he couldn't put in no good information about me at all. So that's a situation that bothers me sometimes, as well as a business owner, as well as a career-minded woman. So it's like you got to be there to speak for yourself, because ain't nobody else gonna speak for you. And when you do decide to speak, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that she could." Yes, absolutely, I could, but you ain't never give me a daggone chance, because you just trying to be the man all the time, trying to shine. Y'all never really give us a chance to really like show you what we can really do. So, James, you on the line? You got something to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, well, that competition thing is been around for a long time, whether it's female to female or male to male, black or white. I think it really boils down to the person and how much confidence they have in their ability. Because me being a black man, I'm always in the room. Let me just come from this perspective. Being a black man, I'm majority of the time I'm in the room with a bunch of white males. So they already, the minute I walk in the room, they already have a perception of me. So I have to walk in there with confidence and know who I am and stand in my, I'm not sure I use the word authority, but yeah, stand in my authority and not come off being, what is it? You can't come off being timid, but yet instead you can't come on too strong either. Because they already got this stigma about a black man. So we can be angry. Y'all, a lot of times you see women, but men, we can come off being too angry or aggressive or whatever the case may be. But you have to but sometimes you just got to go in there and just step up and be who you are. Because a lot of times I had to interrupt people while they was talking. you know, and you can't say that's rude, but you can tell that they was like wasn't giving you an opportunity. So I just, you know, I jumped in there and give my thoughts. And a lot of times, you know, the people didn't like it, but I still did it. And then later on, you know, I did get some respect out of it because they felt like, oh, okay, he gonna express himself regardless, whether right or wrong, you know. So it's a confidence thing. We as Black people, we've been so try to, you know, being held down in a lot of areas of a society till we don't have that confidence. But you got to have that confidence. If we don't, they can spot it right off the minute. You know what I mean? So
In a situation like that, how do you, it's I know it must be a little bit hard for you to have to cover yourself, but then the expectation is to cover everyone else around you. And that's why when it's stated in the Lord, neither is woman independent of man, nor is man independent of woman. It shows a balance happening there. And so I can't expect you to constantly go to bat for me when you have your own things you got to go through. So at that point, you have to like trust me enough to know that in my efforts of trying to get there, I'm gonna assist as the same time as you. So we gotta know it has to be like on code. You know, we the people have to be on code. Like, okay, if I'm getting through this door and I'm
But you
pushing,
asking, you asking for someone else to step up for you. It has to come a point in time, as James was saying, that you have to step up for yourself.
that
Because when you
part.
step up for yourself, you might be, this is where I was saying a teachable moment. You might be teaching others how to speak up too. But it starts with you. It's like what Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. If what you just read from a biblical standpoint is independent of whatever is a balance, that means your voice is has equilateral, just like someone else's voice has equilateral. Your ideas can be just as important as someone else's idea. But if you're sitting in the background, staying silent and not knowing how to assert, there's nothing wrong with confidence. It's the cockiness that can be overbearing. But there's
right,
nothing wrong with confidence because your confidence can be humble, but the same token, your confidence is displaying who you are. And if no one sees who you are because you always sit at the back of the bus, then you
Right.
should know that I'm supposed to be at the front of the bus just like you are, and I'm gonna make it equal, not in an anger manner, not in an attituded manner, but in addressing the fact that hey, I can sit just where you sit, I can speak just like you can speak. I am educated like you are educated. I am articulate like you are articulate, and I have ideas like you have ideas, and I know how to execute and expound on anything that you can. And it's not about doing it better; it's about the fact of me holding my ground and doing what need to be done. And to look for someone to speak for us, you might want to hold that thought because if you don't speak for yourself, then that don't enable nobody else to speak for you. Because if you're being quiet all the time and not saying anything, then that's something you need to take a look at. And when to is about discernment, about
right,
when to
Mhm.
engage, when not to engage, when to sit back and take notes and see who's tag teaming with who, and then how
right.
to address. Because if I tag team you, then I might have to tag team three of your boys. Does that make sense?
Oh
So
yeah.
if you're sitting back in educating yourself while you watching, while you engaging, then you know who to
Yes.
be prepared for. Because if you say like we always thinking in the boardroom or thinking in a meeting is not the time to be thinking about the kids. It's time for you to stay focused in that meeting
Right.
and address what's going on in that
Right.
meeting. I'll think about the
Right.
kids when I get out that meeting. But right now I gotta
Right.
stay engaged because if I look like I'm disengaged, then I'm gonna be treated as I'm disengaged.
That part.
Right.
And if I'm
Okay.
gonna ignore it, then it's gonna be a point where I'm gonna let you know, well, why are you ignoring the fact of what I just said? Remember, I always tell you that you have to learn how to put the ball back in the court and let them bounce it accordingly. Because
I
trust me,
like
they're
that
gonna throw
gem
the
you
ball.
just dropped there.
They're gonna throw the ball in your court, but are you gonna be ready with the opportunity to bounce it and lay up, or are you gonna sit
Mhm.
there and just hold the ball?
Mhm.
You have to be on the same mindset to know what is being done. And I don't want to call it a gameplay, but it's like chess. You got to be ready to make your next move too. It's not checkers. So if you're gonna elevate, you got to elevate. And if you're gonna play chess, then you play chess. If you're gonna play checkers, play checkers. If you're gonna play spade, play spade. But whatever game that you in, you need to know the rules of engagement.
Ooh.
And And I want to add to. I totally agree with what you're saying, sis. And another thing, a lot of times, let me say this: people can be intimidating depending on who they are. All your managers is not going to be supportive and speak up for you as far as you need to talk up, you need to do this. They're not going to always do that because sometimes it's a control thing. So you have to have I'm gonna use the word boldness to be able to get through that fear that you might
Yeah.
have. And I when I use the word fear, and that you fear, you scared everybody and all that. That's not it. But I know
Nah.
when you get sometimes when you get around a certain group of people.
Your mic cut, Mr. James. Mr. James?
Jimmy, cut your mic back on.
With that being said, I like where he was going with that because it is, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's what I'm trying to be intentional about here. And I think that if we continue to push and grind through this year with just being comfortable with being uncomfortable, ain't nothing wrong with that. Because shoot, I'm already out there. So it is what it is. But at this point, let's begin to make that the norm. The norm feeling good in our natural selves, the norm feeling good, on a good day and a bad day. And that's part of fighting through the storm. So, before I get there, I'd like to discuss the variety of roles in a relationship. So, and most of the things that most of the topics I stem from or I try to pick up is topics I see on a day to day. And my husband and I, we discuss it and we be like, mm-mm, because we know where we come from. And now I'm not talking, physically, but the mental portion of it. We come from far, they used to say. We come from far. So when you come from far, the roles, what used to be the roles, pregnant, barefoot, and in the house, I think it was, is no longer. But because it's to us, it's 50-50, or it could be 70-30 tomorrow, or it could be 60-40 the other day. So with that being said, I want to discuss the variety of roles in any relationship, whether you're married, single, a friendship, a sisterhood. What is that? What does that look like? And Tracy, if you don't mind, I'd like to call on you because I think you know all of you have a different set of relationships here right now on the line. And she like, why you calling on me, girl?
She's like,
Girl, I'm
I'm
just trying to be
enjoying listening.
supportive.
Leave me alone. She's like, I'm enjoying listening. Leave me alone.
And I
Go
was,
ahead.
I was, and I feel like I'm looking crazy too. So I really am not in a.
No, sis, you looking excellent. You got that robe on it. You
Straight up in
doing.
my jammies, yes, ma'am.
I was waiting to see that dog today.
She got an attitude because she went to Dr. Jail yesterday.
Oh man,
She likes to
it's all
follow
right.
random people up the street, and then I found her at 7-Eleven. They holding on to her and trying to
Hmm.
take her. I said, "You gonna end up in doggy jail. You don't like it there. You done been there before."
She's beautiful. She's beautiful.
She
But
bad.
Tracy, tell me a little something about the relationship roles. Any relationship. Just pick any.
I about to say because I ain't the right one to ask about the relationships. Um, I ain't gonna say that. I've had good times, right? But I think roles. I'm gonna go back to not just relationships, but roles. Period.
Mhm.
So what you started off with talking about, you know, things change from back then to now, and I think all that has to do with is roles. Like back in the day, our grandparents and our parents had defined roles.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Man, go to work, come home, pay the bills, the wife take care of the kids in the household. Now, there was a different kind of obligation.
Mhm.
So when they said their vows, even if grandpa had another family somewhere else around the block, but he took care of home.
Of
You know what
home.
I'm saying? And his role was, if I have a mistress, I take care of that home too. Maybe nobody know about it, but he took care of both. And now, because things have changed so much, our roles have completely reversed.
Mhm.
I don't want to get too far into detail, but nowadays
No,
women have
this is the time. Go ahead and get far into detail. I promise you I won't get in my feelings.
well, don't. But I'm just saying, back in the day, you put up with a lot of stuff from your man.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because men wasn't right back then either, but you put up with it, and they did that because they were being taken care of at home.
Mm.
Your commitment when you got married was forever. It wasn't about, oh, I can get a divorce if I'm happy. That wasn't
Mhm.
an option for our foremothers.
Yeah.
So I knew, coming up, even me, I was brought up to be a wife. But my generation men didn't want a wife. They want the hoes. You know what I'm saying? So I won't say all of them, but the majority. And that's what we came up with. So
So you're saying back then divorce is not an option,
well,
but today,
times they didn't come into it thinking, okay, I'll get married, and if 5 years or 10 years later I'm not happy, I can leave. They married for life. So you put up with stuff,
mhm.
that we wouldn't put up. And I was mostly talking about the roles because you knew at a dance that if you went to a party or a dance, girls were on one side, the guys would come over and ask you to dance. Nowadays, you dance by yourself or you dance with your girlfriends in the middle of the floor. You don't even talk to the people that are there. You on your cell phone the whole time. And the boys are liking the boys, girls are liking girls way more now than they ever did before.
You bring up a great point.
With that being said, we have other options for that sexual gratification that they didn't use back in the day. But we're
Mhm.
quick to say, as now as women, okay, I'm single, I'll raise my child by myself. I don't need no man. And so men come in thinking, okay, I don't know what's needed of me because these women are so independent. And as an independent woman, and I'm speaking for myself, it's hard for me to expect a man to do certain things, even though I was raised to think that. I was raised to say, let a man open the door for me. You let a man pull a chair out. Let him be the man. But as I matured, these weren't men that I was getting, okay, in that way. They were men, they go to work, they might buy me something, they take care of the bill too, but they expect you to pay half. So now my femininity is going away because I got to step up my masculine side just for survival, just for protection. And
Mhm.
that has a lot to do with, a lot of relationships at work. If you go to work back in the day, you wear a tight top and shirt, you were cute. And you look for your boss to acknowledge that you were cute at work. Then a few years ago, it turned into sexual harassment. You can't do that no more. Now
Ooh.
everybody's supposed to be equal. If everybody's equal, how you gonna have a masculine role and a feminine role?
Come on.
That's my take on it, and that's why I think we're having such hard times in our relationships now because it's hard to step back. I've had to step up all the time and take care of everything to make sure I'm good. And every guy, relationship I've been in, I'm still doing that. Even though I should expect them, I need to learn how to step back and expect them to step up and be a man. But I don't think half of them even when they try to be a man, they get reprimanded for that. It's condescending to some women for a man to open the door. So
Wow.
again, our roles have changed. They've changed, and until we get our specific roles back, we're all going to be fighting for that leadership role. Because in a way, in the world, I'm making more money, and you can come here and dictate what I do and how I do it. But
So
on the
why
other
should
hand,
why
I'm
should
going to expect
funding
them.
play a factor in the gender roles? So
Why
if a
don't it?
woman, oh,
Why don't it? Think about it. Why don't it? Because I like what Tracy said, and what she said is on point. because back in the day, it's not that the roles has changed, the mindset of people has changed.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that most of us that are independent women are independent because we had no choice to be independent, but
Right.
be independent. It's not that we want this masculine role. I'm a leader at work. When I come home, I don't want to wear the pants.
Right.
But when there's not a pants presence, then I have to put them on to keep the household going.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
So let me
So
get a
when
good
does
man.
that transition occur? Like in the event you begin to date and you start dating, how are you setting those healthy boundaries, or how even in a
Oh, I love to
actual
answer that one.
relationship?
I'm gonna love to answer that. Dating gonna be complicated. Why? Because for one, I have a lot of assets, and the first thing most guys do is look at the material stuff instead of what the internal things is doing. So he already in his mind, if he not on the same, I won't use that word. My brother told me not to use that word. If he not on the same plateau as I am, he already coming in. Well, what can I do for her? She got a house, she got a car. Matter of fact, she got several cars. She got a bike, she got this, she got that. It's not about that. What I have, I don't have the point of a man saying, "Hey, baby, you had a hard day. Dinner done. Hey, baby, you had a hard day," or expecting me to come in after 8 hours, checking son's homework, and then still cooking. No, it's about teamwork. I don't believe in this. Is me. I don't believe in the 50-50. I believe in the 100-100. Because when we get 50-50, we can somewhere be short. But if I'm giving 100, you giving 100, then guess what? We passed the 100 mark, but we at 200. So if I come in one day not giving 100, and you at 100, and you giving 50, we still at 150. So we well above the threshold of the norm of what seemed to be norm. We're setting our own standards and everything. But like Tracy was saying, back in the day, you knew certain things. I'll give you my mom example. My mom married my dad, and she stayed in a relationship that was verbally abusive, that became verbally abusive to the kids. So she had to make that move back in the 70s or early 80s and pull away from my dad because he stopped lacking the role of doing what he was supposed to do. But she was in that culture where you didn't get divorced, you stayed regardless. But that regardless was hurting her kids, and she refused to have her kids hurt by something like that. So where I see my mom was a mom come home from work, clean the house, have two things. Hey, she had to do everything then. She had to pay the bills. She had to know how to budget. She know how to rob Peter to pay Paul sometimes, but we never went without. So what that's going to do for the men and what's that going to do? I have two strong men. Jimmy just got off the phone. He's still a man in his family. Window. If he ever settled down, he's still a man. Debbie, she's still a woman, but the fact is getting the compatibility with someone that has the same similar mindset for us to move forward. Where hey, it's a teamwork, babe. Some days I'm gonna come in here, I'm tired. So can you cook? And if he don't know how to cook, guess what? Then his wife or he is gonna show him how to cook so he can help me out sometime. And then sometimes I'm gonna want to cook because I still want to be that feminine woman or that femininity in that relationship where he not always doing something. That's just us. We are nurturer by nature. That's just women. We are nurturer by nature. But it has to be an understanding with two mindsets of individual that your role need to be this, your role need to be that. Okay, sometimes we need to compromise that role so we can make it work.
Okay, so give a little, take a little, and leave a little bit. Leave a little room for correction. Good stuff.
I wouldn't always say correction, but camaraderie or compromising and being able to come together. Because if I'm sick and you well and I can't move, then I need you to be able to do something for me. But it shouldn't take me to get sick for you to step up to that place and want to do something. We should be doing something for each other constantly, not just when it it pleases the other or my ego strokes me better. Like, okay, well, I make the most money, so I don't have to come home and cook. You should be able to come here and cook. We got to be comfortable with whatever situation we in and make it work together. And that's by good old fashioned communication. Sweetheart, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I got class. Can you make sure the kids done? And then I got the other days. You understand what I mean? Not him
every day the same. Right.
So we have to talk. It's about good old fashioned communication, and we have gotten away from that because we talk at each other a lot and sometimes with each other. And that just go back to communication.
James, you have something?
And I hate that Jimmy, I got to see what happened with him when he was on here.
You didn't speak. So we got Master Raja on the line, and he wanted to.
Camera's not working, so I had to come up.
Okay, it's all right.
Well, I mean, y'all make several great points. You know, and like, it's hard for anybody, to coexist together, and a lot of people don't realize that our counterparts are other people who are racist, are racing against us in the first place. So throw dirt on any man. I heard you say something earlier about said something about your father, and that was a good point. He may have, especially in the 70s. I think a lot in the 70s and the 80s, really, that was the era to destroy not just, the Negro family, but, to put shame on it by calling it black. A lot of people don't even realize that. You stop the tribal names and other names that you recognized as and even identified in the census of the state of America, or the country, whatever you want to call it. We lost that term in the first place, and we started, putting a downgrade on what we call family, whether it's a black family or, something of that nature, so we lose the true nature of the American history. Even today, for instance, you think of today, it's called Black History. That's ridiculous, because anything that's of America, you can't go without looking at the Negro or the black man or whatever you want to call it today. So you can't, so just be American history, and that's every day. But the key point that I was even wanting to make is the fact that, when it comes to young black men or older black men, you look at what was offered to just the female alone, in the last 40 to 50 years. So I'll give it 60. You just take out the 2000s and just go back down and you see what I'm talking about. You see the systems that's been put in place. Everything that the black man created, or the Negro man, or the American man created, has been taken from him and rearranged and presented to you as a present. When it was created in the first place by the black man to give to you as a present in the first place, whether it's the welfare system or the food programs, and those are all Negro organizations created to serve the woman and serve the children, the people who was not, didn't have anything. And, that system is taken from us today, took out the black man and put women, infant, and children. Think about that. It's called WIC. That's the WIC program. So that's it alone, but that's something that was already created by the black man's mind to make sure his woman and child went without when it was really without. A lot of people don't even understand that. Ours in light bulb or electricity. You'd be surprised to know that the black man of America, black man of America created the electro, the light system that lit up London, lit up America. But we give all that credit to somebody named Thomas Edison, but it was a black man's mind who that come from. A lot of things like that. So we literally generate electricity and make that so you can even talk to us now. The computer was made by us. Everything was made by us has been taken from us and reprogrammed and represented and given to someone else. And put shame on us.
Okay, but here's the thing, and I totally agree with what you said, James, to the fullest. But here's the thing: education starts at home. And the reason I say education starts at home, somebody can take something from you, but you can teach your kids what that taking look like, how wrong that taking is. Like, say for instance, mom and dad may have divorced, but mom always say love your dad. Regardless, despite the situation, she always instilled in us to love it. So she taught us what right looked like, even though we saw what wrong looked like too. When the bottom line comes to it, comes with a choice. It's the same right now with raising Jeremiah. I still have choices to make. When he and his dad and I are together, we co-parenting. He's not in the house, but I still teach him how to love his dad. So the education comes from us teaching what right look like, whether we're on a job or whether we're at home. So we have to take all that good history that you just spoke of and make it a teachable moment, not only within our home, within our marriages, but on our job. That's our responsibility if we want to see some type of change. And maybe change won't be worldistic or whatever, but it can be in the circles in which we exist in. It could be in the coexisting Some people will grab it, some people won't grab it. But did I teach it? Did I exemplify it? Did I lead by example? Whether it's through friendship, through love, or through my professionalism. Am I teaching these things to help people to make the change to see it? And if I'm not, then I'm just about the biggest problem that came before of
But
people taking.
let's put a question to that. See, suppose you think you're doing all of that. A lot of people I've seen a lot. And I'm saying you're not. I'm not using you personally. I'm just saying a lot of females, think they're doing that, and a lot of their children, especially young boys, turn up homosexual. They're being to church and everything. Because nowadays you go to church, it's nothing but women. Last time I went to church, for crying out loud, with my wife and children, and she has a women's program. And they just talk about the greatness of women on a Sunday, which is the masculine day in the first place, which is crazy to me. But at the same time, you have to really think about these. So you may say right, and the schools want to spin right around your right. Because right all is a circle. It's a circle of whatever, each circumference of any individual. So everyone's going to continue to spin around to what right really looks like. Because there's no such thing as right. There's no such thing. If you really think of what right is.
Okay, so let's say this. Let's say, okay, you say that's pretty good, bro. That is very good. Okay, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Let me get my son in here and let him kick the knowledge to you.
No.
Listen. No, I'm not.
I can't converse with a young man.
No, listen. I'm going somewhere with it because what you're gonna hear is the training that my mom taught me.
I believe you. I'm not trying to say. See,
let me explain that real quick. I totally agree with you, but.
None against him. I'm not speaking to him personally. I'm speaking of all women.
In our offspring, some way, somehow. They're gonna make their own choices.
The young man person. I'm not personalizing towards you. I'm just saying.
I know you're not, guy.
you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying him. I'm not saying him personally. Not him personally. I'm saying like I know women. They break off. They have a decent man who makes decent money or whatever. But they feel like, hey, I can do. I can get 3 men. And I can have. 4 people paying me, 3 baby daddies and a new man.
That's a whole lot of men.
No, I'm just serious. You got to think of the comment of today's woman. You're not just talking about, somebody of a, we're not just talking about, we can speak of different variations of women.
Okay, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead. I want to share my screen real quick to this Mrs. If you don't mind. And Wendell, I see you. And I'm definitely gonna get to you, but
less, take off more clothes, do the most to get attention, right? If you think that that's freedom, the idea that you have to wear less, the idea that you have to get naked to be heard, do you really think that's a form of freedom? Because that's slavery, that's bondage. I didn't have to take off my clothes to be heard in society. And these women will realize that when you follow these people that are, self-imposed feminists, I'm a feminist, I do this, I'm a feminist, you hear that word over and over and over again, you'll find the majority of them are miserable. Look at their lives and ask yourself a question. Do you think they are happy? Do you feel good when you do what they do, right? When you're constantly looking for a dopamine hit from social media because you took your clothes off and you want somebody in your comments, a thirst trap with your ass out, right? And you want somebody in your comments, oh, you slay, babe. You slayed the day, babe. Hashtag Tuesdays, am I right? And you do this stuff for attention. And you're devaluing yourself, and at the end of the day, you don't actually feel good, and it's not going to bring you happiness, right? So yeah, you can get guys sliding in your DM, you can get guys telling you you look good, you can get guys that want to sleep with you. How many of these people actually the guys that want to stay with you, right? Are not in somebody else's DM. The same way that you found him is the same way you're going to find somebody else, because we are increasingly becoming a part of a society that's ADHD. You want to know why our grandparents stayed together? Because they weren't looking at ass cheeks all day on Instagram and refreshing it and going, oh, that girl looks younger, that girl looks better, that girl's face tuned, and I think that is what these young women that they're following are telling them. You've got 13-year-olds getting lip injections, right? Because they want to look like Kylie. Again, not shot to Kylie Jenner, but what society have we created that ever made Kylie Jenner feel like she had to go out and buy those lips, that she had to contour her entire.
So I played that because I thought it was important to hear. Candace Owens is quite controversial. every topic there is. You know, she's a woman that is married to a Caucasian man. She has a whole family, and I think she has a leg to stand on this one. So, you know, James, I know you were saying something, but this young lady, I think that video was a go. And Wendell, what do you have to say about that? You know, she was talking about women taking their clothes off and, you know, just kind of like having this moment on social media, putting out all of their sexual being. Now, for a man, that's different. You know, men have their clothes, they shirt off, that's totally fine. But for a woman, you know, what is it that you guys don't really want to see that and call that y'all wifey material? You know, you guys want the woman. Look at his face. He's like, yeah, that's wifey material. Buddy, I can't with you. I want to hear you today, Wendell, please. Or
I
even
ain't got nothing to say because I'm too late. I got in late on the conversation, so I can't really comment on nothing right now. I came in late. I forgot.
She's basically asking you, would you wifey a woman that likes to wear her no clothes?
No clothes. What you mean, like butt booty neck?
Well, not butt booty naked, but like she said, the lady said she was like women nowadays, we wear skimpy stuff.
So
And that means we're not wifey material.
that ain't what that means.
hold on, no. I said on social media, it's fine to wear skimpy stuff now. If
I'm
it's
not talking about
me.
you. I'm talking about that lady that was just talking.
Yeah, but on social media, like posting it, like, hey, this is my, you know, fans only, this is my butt cheek, this is my bosoms, like that type of stuff. Like, it's okay for a shorty to walk outside if she with her man, you know, to just chill, go to the store, go to the on a date. It's nothing more than you would see on a beach, right?
Right.
But at the same time, is that okay to post as far as completely naked?
Is it okay to post? That's your preference. If that's what you want to do, then it's your preference. If you want to dress like that, that's fine. If, hey, this sound all messed up in here,
There
y'all.
you go. That's better.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to look. Somebody's gonna have to come over here and help me fix these mics, the whole shebang. Until
I don't hear nothing but echoes. Hello, 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 hello. Goodbye.
Can you hear me now?
Try cutting your
I
phone.
can hear you with just a crazy.
Try cutting your phone off if it's a phone nearby.
What about right now?
Ain't no phone
better?
nearby.
Not you. I'm talking about hers. She
That's
might be
better?
doing multi,
Yes.
yes. She's doing multi media platforms. So you're gonna have to cut one of them off.
Oh yeah, it's picking up another microphone.
Right, correct. That's
Okay.
another microphone. There you go. Now that
Hey.
sounds good. Sweet.
Yeah, that's how it is when we on the video game.
All right. So y'all get back, Wendell. If you had something to say to James, that would be great. But if not, then
Now I can hear. I couldn't even hear nothing that the lady was saying on the thing, so I had to catch it next time. But
okay.
I mean, it's preference. You wear what you want, but it don't determine who you are. Just because she dressed skimpy don't mean she a whore.
Right. I like that.
You know what I'm saying? That's
I
a bunch
read
of
it.
bull crap. I mean, because I know a bunch of girls that's sweet as pie, but dress, you know.
I raised my hand.
So it is what it is. But if it's all on the individual, if you got a problem with it, don't look at it.
Agree, 100%.
Said it right. Said it right.
You know what I mean? It's just simple. It ain't really nothing complicated. I mean, it is hard to say. I mean, look, you know how many dudes go to titty bars and be trying to house a chick? Get the heck out of here.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
That don't mean that. It's
Who's
plenty.
better?
It's plenty cases that done.
Hello,
I mean,
can y'all hear me or no?
Yeah,
Yeah?
we can.
I mean,
I'm
you know,
gonna
you
take
you
his
can't
own.
change a 304 into a
And
housewife,
for
but
that
you know.
man, if that's what he wants, then that's what he gets.
Yeah, but he also know you can't change a 304 into a housewife.
We as a people,
Cut it out.
Think that we think overall. You know what I'm saying? I think you have to do in age groups. You know, age groups is appropriate, and at the same time, no one wants to look at a 3 to 6 year old inappropriate.
Okay.
And
okay.
whether a woman is
Yeah,
in
that's
her
just
flowering stage, she's starting to blossom, especially the young woman, she needs to be kept more protected. More, you have a bunch of nieces and stuff like that. So I think to them, I wouldn't want them parading around and and that's If you really think about it, that's how 90% of all rapes happen, because someone is being sexually desired and they don't have a veil of protection around them. A veil in the first place.
If she grew up like that, dude, then you need to talk to her mama first.
Most men.
That means her mama probably was a hoe.
You know, I don't say, you know, they are one-minded. They're one-minded. So if they see somebody and she's presented herself as a whore,
little girl,
something of that nature, you know, she could be just doing it for a TikTok video real quick, and she just wanted to step outside. But she doesn't know she's been watched, because you have to be watched. Everywhere you go, you're being watched.
But keep in mind, you also had Hagar and Rahab in the Bible as well. So you have different types of women discussed and named in the Bible for particular reasons. And they held some highly qualified positions, especially when it came to spying or delivering a message.
How did it go from the dress code Hagar?
I know. I'm just trying to like connect it up. I know it's just, you know, more might be all over the place, but it connects in a way that for me is going to be in the eye of the beholder. So if Wendell will prefer,
stop a second. Let's think.
Okay.
You have to stop right there. Each one of us have eyes. We all have a set of eyes, but you have to think also, because your eyes are recording, and whatever you're recording is going right back to your original eye. So that's you're thinking of what you're seeing.
So what about preference? Would it go with just preference? If I would prefer a sexy outfit today and a more covered outfit tomorrow, does that make me a hoe?
Well,
or does that just make a person that's just
for a second? Let's talk about
it's hot today and it's cold tomorrow?
The military for a second. You know, it's male or female. You know what I'm saying? You're going,
oh shit, John. That make you a hoe. No, that don't make you a hoe.
You can't say that. See, that's why.
Shit. Okay. That's great. Y'all talking out the side of y'all head, man. That's just like saying because Janet Jackson titty fell out, she a prostitute now, right?
Well, Janet Jackson is a prostitute.
Come on, y'all gotta get better than this conversation.
Janet Jackson is not a prostitute.
She's like we can't afford her, but I'm saying she's a
oh my gosh, she ain't a hoe, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Ask the boys in Saudi Arabia.
Y'all don't make me hang up. I like real talk, not crazy talk.
Let me tell you something. When you already put down your God and you put down everything else for some money, and you've already
y'all talking about God now? I thought we was talking about y'all confusing me.
I'm talking about a woman. If she
I gotta come in earlier next time.
Down to go celebrate another man's God because he has billions.
I didn't know this was a godly conversation. I'm
talking about a woman, a prostitute. A prostitute. We see. Remember, you gotta understand something. God is the flow of money to some people.
Yeah, but we're not talking about God right now, are we?
I'm talking about the prostitute.
Oh shit, y'all.
Okay, well, moving on.
So you misunderstood what I said. We was talking about.
And I ain't never misunderstood.
No, I'm not trying to play you out, but I'm trying to like connect it all. So yes, I did touch on a bit.
Y'all just confused.
I did touch on some Wikipedia, black and white books. But now, you know, we are going to go ahead and ask, what does she want for Valentine's Day? And does it even matter? Okay.
I see we know that smile. I got to walk away.
Yeah, crazy.
Lord knows we got enough problems. But at the same time, I just walk that way.
Okay, so to me, I asked this question because like you mentioned age group, right? So 25 and younger, you could go ahead with the candies, the chocolates, and the roses, and all that good stuff. I ain't even got time. But I mean 25 and younger, but 25 and older at this point, don't bring me no candies, don't bring me no teddy bear, don't bring me no chocolate, don't bring me no daggone roses. Like
but ain't that something that
I'll take
your sweetheart should know?
I'll take a tub, what's that called? Like the bubble bath type thing. And I'll take a paid bill. But outside of that, like please don't come with the chocolates because I can't even
Hey, but
read.
look, then what's the purpose of that nigga being your sweetheart if he don't know what to get you?
Bingo.
5 love
And this is
languages.
what I was
I'm
trying to
just
Love
saying, man.
languages.
Stop
If
for a
you
second.
kicking it
This
with
is why
somebody
white
like
men
that,
don't
he should at
listen.
least know what you
Hold on
want.
a second.
If he don't, that sounds like a his problem, not a you problem.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because at the end of the day, who gives a damn? You talking
Yeah,
about? You talking
you
about?
get what
You
makes the
don't
value.
understand what the hell Valentine's is, man.
Okay.
Well,
You
that's
know what I'm saying? You got to think. If you got see, especially a brother like me, you know, anybody like that, you know, you got a
he
man.
said special. He said you special.
You get it anytime you like you get it. I don't got
Hey,
time
did
for
you
that.
just call? Did you just
I
call
do
yourself
more.
special?
No,
Did
he's
he-
right. You
Absolutely.
know, once you get a
Absolutely.
certain age,
Absolutely.
you're just
I'm glad
like,
you said that.
babe.
Absolutely.
No,
Are
I'm
you
asking. He
like,
said he was a
we don't
special
celebrate
brother, right?
Valentine's Day
Hold on
like
for a
that.
second. Hold on for a second. Stop a second. No, I'm trying to say.
He said he was a special brother, right?
Yes.
Okay, well then a special brother should know what his special girl wants.
There you go.
Well, I'm the prize.
Now, if he
So,
don't,
at the
then
end of the day,
hey, that's his
he knows
problem.
what I want, and at that point, it's not gonna be no chocolates, no teddy bears, no roses, and none of that stuff like that.
then
Is for
Okay.
25 and younger. 25 and younger. If you guys hear or listen to this podcast, please go get all of that good stuff.
And I will
But
say this,
25 and
that.
Hey, but
older,
look, I don't think it's got
that.
nothing to do with the age because it all depends on the individuals and what part of the world they live in.
true.
And
Because
then
back in
Because
the
I
days, I
know
used
some,
to
I
make
know some
like high
youngins doing
school,
some real beautiful
college.
things for some girls. So, matter of fact, I just got through having a conversation with somebody today that's 20 years old, and I told him the same crap.
And like I said, the main thing for
You
me,
supposed to know if this your girl, dude.
and at the end of the day, we don't got time for that stuff, bro. Y'all people need to wake up, man. Look around and see that all type of stuff is going on around you. We are literally at war. Now I can play the white man's game and do all that foolishness. That's small talk. That's easy stuff, man. You gotta understand that's new beginning things.
I know how to push the button.
I've been in a relationship for too long. I ain't got time for this crap. You know what I'm saying? Even this is
Well, honestly, if you want to just really just sum it up, Valentine's Day should be every day because you don't know.
It is every day. That's what I'm
moment
saying. Like you do stuff on a daily basis, man.
So if my number is 1967 dash, every day should be a Valentine's Day. And what I mean by that, let me explain, is that I should be loving on you. She should be loving on you know what I mean. If you're in a relationship, it should be every day. I should have to wait for a man-made holiday or
right. That part.
This is what I'm saying.
What
That's
you
why
saying? I'm not knocking what you're saying, James.
I'm
I'm understanding what you're saying. I'm just saying it should be every day of our life because nothing is promised to none of us. The rose petals should be in the bathtub when it ain't even my birthday.
You're right.
You understand what I mean? So I understand what you're saying about the man-made day.
If he's sweet like that, heck yeah.
A love day is every day. Every
True.
day of your life
Loyalty.
that you have nothing in your body. A love day is every day, and it should not be having to wait.
Right. Shouldn't have to cost no money, is what you're saying.
Just like Christmas, it should be every day. You understand what I mean? Christmas. Now, the only one day you could really look at is your birthday. You was only born one day, but all the other days it should be a host of days where you give it love. That's why in this family we don't even know.
I'm mad he left out. Like I'm just in agreement with him. I wasn't agreeing. When I speak, I'm solely speaking on behalf of different generations and the way I see things.
But now, about a general
when I go through my feed, it's a lot of crazy, dumb stuff happening.
But what he's saying about a one day, sis, he's really correct. James didn't have to walk away, and if he walked away about what I'm saying, what he's saying is just one day of a man-made day, and I totally agree with him. I'm just adding to what he was stating that is more than just one day. That's all.
Yeah, it's all right. He thinks I'm taking it a little personal, and maybe sometimes when I speak, I say I so much that he just doesn't realize. Like I'm talking in general. Like I'm hosting this thing, so. I'm being what is it? Multiple personality disorder? Is that what it is? So I'm being multiple people at this time.
Okay, there go you and that echo again. Work it, girl. Work it.
I'm not speaking on my relationship per se, but I am speaking on the different levels of women. We have many different types. But at the same time, I want to get through to the world that, hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. Yeah. But at the same time, none of that shit matters, especially not right now. So at the same time, he's thinking I'm talking about him. I ain't talking about him at all. Because I know what I'm getting.
Well, I
And
mean,
I'm
it's just a bunch of holidays. Look,
I'm happy
y'all
with what I
got a
you. I just
holiday
ain't
down
gonna
there
go.
that they don't even
No,
celebrate. Sweetie's Day.
like, I'm
All this
good.
bullshit. Hey,
But at
look,
the
you
same
heard about Sweetie's Day, right?
Sweetie's Day.
Yeah,
I
see
heard
all
about it.
this crap they got out here. That's some up north stuff, but they got Sweetie's Day, don't
We
they,
have it
Dad?
in California.
Oh, they got. Oh,
What's
yeah. It started in the Midwest, though, Trace. But it
Oh,
started in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, and it just kind of spread it out from there. But it ain't made it down south.
what
oh,
is
okay.
Swedish Day?
Sweetest Day.
Sweetest,
Sweetest
It's
Day.
like
like
your sweetheart
Valentine's
day.
Day. It's Swedish. It's like a sweetheart day. It's the
Yeah,
same
it's for
thing.
the
One
guy. It's
just
supposed to be for the guys. Man, get the
right,
heck out of here. If you're gonna be sweet every day, nigga. That's all I'm
right. That's
saying.
my point. That's the bottom line. That's the
Yeah,
bottom line to it. You know, it's supposed to be every day because life is not guaranteed to none of us.
exactly.
Right. And I'm not looking for that stuff. Like, it's a normal day for me. I promise you it's gonna be a normal day. But at the same time, it's just not my thing because we be in here loving on each other every single day. So I'm like, bro, it's the same thing like Christmas. We rather celebrate Hanukkah. Or Easter. I love me my Easter, but I'm not going out and buying a bunch of baskets and eggs and stuff. That's another day just to have us go out there and spend our money.
Well,
You
that
know what
all
I'm saying?
depends
They
on
want you
how
to go buy the kids the
that
little
all
Easter
depends on how
basket
you was brought
and
up.
everything.
Because when we was youngsters, we loved Easter, and black people love Easter.
You said when we was youngsters, but now that I'm
Yeah, but I
older,
done got
I
old
want
now. I
my
don't give a damn about my birthday, nigga. So what the hell?
I gotta go get me an Easter dress, an Easter outfit, an Easter this, an Easter that.
nigga,
For what?
nigga.
I get the
But look,
kids.
when you get
I'm not
older,
getting no
you
eggs.
start caring less. But when you're younger, that stuff is important. So okay, do
I
it.
say 25 and younger. You know, Valentine's Day, go ahead, get your candies, your cookies, your ice, all that good stuff. But
I
as I
mean,
get older, pay a bill. What you gonna be? Look, I'm gonna
huh,
get a massage. If you can give me 2, 3, 4 hours of massage, that would be great. And I'm not speaking for myself.
okay.
I'm
Well,
speaking
that's
on
what I
behalf of
said.
the
That's
family.
what it should be about. It should be about you. And if your sweetheart don't know, then tell them.
The love languages.
Yeah, right,
Love
you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. It's simple, player.
Okay, so
I,
we're gonna move on to the next setting, and this is the last one. Do you know how to fight through the storm? So I put this in there because I like to shake it up a little bit. It's a little fight through the storm. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Do you know how to fight through the storm? And I'm about to I'm about to give a speech in Fayetteville, Georgia, in the next week and a half.
oh,
And
Fayetteville, down to Georgia.
it's about becoming an overcomer. And I think that has a lot to do with fighting through the storm. But God gave me something the other day, and becoming an overcomer. It was about resiliency and being resilient and having the knowledge of when the testing time is happening and being able to jump over that. You ever seen you have Mario and Luigi brothers where they used to like just jump over you. Sometimes you don't want to squish the mushroom, you just
I'm a
want
little
to
bit too old for that one. I'm a little bit too old for Mario Kart.
It's all right. It's all right. So we
We
just
didn't
want to
have
jump
that.
over
We
the
had
problem.
Nintendo and stuff, before Mario.
Mario
I'm a
won the original Super Nintendo, the
Galacta,
original Super Nintendo.
Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. That's our era. Wasn't no Mario Kart did.
Yeah, so Miss Pac-Man, she even eat the little
okay. So, in knowing your audiences, you talking to 50 and over group in here. You two are the youngest one in the group. Okay. So when you say Atari, then you talking on these three people level. When you say, Nintendo, you talking on these three people level. Y'all new stuff. Now the new stuff, James and Wendell probably know some of the games. They game players. You know the new stuff. But
all right,
we know
so
what we're talking about.
it was just my analogy. So
I know we just messing with you.
Mario would have to
Call of
jump
Duty.
over, the enemy per se. And so he would squash the enemy, but he would keep on going. You understand what I'm saying? And then as he get through the end of the course, he reached his goal. So when I say, do you know how to fight through the storm? It goes back to saying like the feminine versus masculine. I'm not going to stop in the middle of the wood line while somebody is chasing us to be like, oh my gosh, please help me, and fall on over. No, we're going to fight through this storm. And right now, the whole world is under a storm. So it's.
I think Deborah said something earlier real well. She said something, that might have been one of you, said something about it's hard for us to really, for females, to pursue their femininity because of the workload or society pushes them to, and that's what I really want to get on, because we think about that, it's not really us, it's not the man, because like I said again, what I was trying to say about the ideas be taken from us, most ideas, including the bed itself, has been made by the black man for your comfort. Whether you see that today, but it's funny, especially the Negro man, all of America.
Did y'all just change the subject?
No, it's the same subject.
Like, let him live.
Oh, no. I'm just, because I wasn't listening, and then I came back. I hear y'all talking about something else.
It's the same subject, but you got to remember, all of America is ours. From sea to shining sea. We invited these. We didn't really invite the white people. I guess we did invite the white people. When you think about it, we invited them, and they took over to a degree. They took over our Congress. They took over our presidency. They call themselves today the commander-in-chief. Alongside that, but that's the Negro thing, Iroquois, whatever you want to call yourself, but that's my nation, that's my family, to a degree. A lot of people don't even understand that. So when you look into all of that, you understand so much more. So
wrap that into how you fight the storm, the current storm.
I'm talking about the current storm. You got to understand something. Our land was taken from us. Our Senate was taken from us. Our presidency was taken from us. Everything that we have today has been taken from us. And we're still standing, whether we're doing whatever we got to do or whether we're fighting in the military as the lowest. Even if you're a general, you're still the lowest as a black man because you're supposed to be commander-in-chief. You understand what I'm saying? No matter what anybody says or does, and if that doesn't, you got to really think about that. These terms that the white man has on him, bestowed on him. You know what I'm saying? That was bestowed on us. But at the same time, we fight through it. But most of us fight through it cowardly. I think someone else said that because they don't want to speak up. And if they do speak up, it gets, it's like, oh, he's an aggressive black man. You know what I'm saying? That's a stereotype they put on you to make you docile and weak. And at the end of the day, that's what took the man at the house in the first place, because he's too aggressive, he's too angry. Now the anger or the aggression of the black man at that time is now presented to the black woman. If you really think about it, you need to get rid of him. He's angry and he's aggressive, he's a drunken. You know what I'm saying? Now is the woman today as that same stereotype, even more than the man. Because you have to think, if you don't have to listen to me, just look up the stereotype. The statistics. Look up the statistics of the last 5 to 10 years, and you see that women fight 10 times more than men. Most men don't even want to fight, especially with other men. They like, look, man, we got, I know it don't seem like that, but most men are already on guard and angry because of the trials and tribulations just to make it a 12. And then if you make it 18, Lord knows you feel like you done flew somewhere else. And if you decide to do anything, you're doing it underhandedly when you know that you are the dominant force. So that's like a big giant black man standing taking command from a little girl. Because that's how funny the world is today. Back in the day, it was a little white man. Now they put a girl in front of you to say you better salute her or you better something to her, because at the end of the day, that's the real masculine versus feminine. And not that,
James, but when we come home, we take those pants off.
I'm not going to touch the salute part because I deserve my salute. But I am going to salute you.
You do. You absolutely deserve a salute. If you're a black woman in America, I want to say right now that you deserve a salute. You deserve a salute.
I am going to address what you said about the man and the woman. But if we're going to fight, I think we learn, again, I'm going back to the home. What was you taught? where you taught to crumble. Because in our day, we came up where you didn't come home if you got into an altercation with somebody and they fought you and you didn't start a fight, but you ended the fight. So let's take that same mentality and bring that to our goals and our ambition, our marriage. If you used to giving up and choking out every time there's confirmation and running, then that's what you're gonna do. You ain't gonna weather the storm. If the other partner is used to hanging in there talking and getting down to the core or breaking that's how we win the fight. Is you gotta know what a fight look like, first of all. You gotta know.
And I'm gonna tell you something too about fighting too. Let's think about fighting, for instance. We have 40-year-old men, 30-year-old men, 25-year-old brand new men walking into this country today with a clear background, when I said clear background, meaning most black people of America, especially the Negro man, you know, he's been recorded since he was at birth. So they holding a juvenile record against you to where they allow a 30-year-old Spanish, Ukrainian, or whoever you want to, Afghanistan, or whoever, they allow these grown men and women over here to train and to whether it's, I mean, most people don't even know that they have Chinese bases. They have Chinese bases in America where the Chinese come and they walk normal to you, but they literally, I remember the first time I was in, I think, Walter Reed somewhere, and I seen some German soldiers walking around in there in full uniform. Let's think about that alone.
Okay, on that note, praise the Lord. Let me go ahead and share my screen because I want y'all to take a look at this, and then y'all can tell me what your thoughts are. This is my girl, Vicky Dillon. She is one of my heroes, and I just want
to that we are at war, and it's not, beloved, because Black folks in America have declared war on anybody.
No, but we have.
It is because our open enemy of thousands of years, but most intensely 500 years, has declared so. And they have neither ceased nor desist their oppression, and they've given us not one red cent in economic reparations.
Amen to that.
So because you're at war, whether you want to be or not,
whether you want to be or
you
not,
must conduct yourself accordingly. Now let me help you. For those of you who like to say, well, I don't get involved in that kind of stuff, and that's beneath me, and I just let y'all do all this separating and talking about white folks with your funny looking self. There is a such thing as a draft, beloved. Conscription. Research and look it up. That means, beloved, you can be compelled to fight whether you want or not. And to some of you Black looking people who are reluctant and resistant and in denial.
Let me get into, I want to get into that so
no,
bad.
I thought this was the one with the Korean.
That's fine, because that goes to a lot of things I wanted to say in the first place. You know, no offense to any female. I love my female, especially Black women. You gotta understand something. Your whole, even your integration into the military alone was of kindness. Most Black women at that time, when they first joined the military, they were doing it because their husbands joined the military. They wanted to follow their husbands and things like that. So they were.
No, we have dreams of our own.
No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about a car and a house and things like that. We're talking about a time of war when Black men was literally fighting for freedom on the ground here in America and for other people here at far the bar. You know what I'm saying? I believe Tracy's waiting.
Yeah, Tracy.
I gotta go to bed, y'all.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just signing off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close it on.
No, I'm not gonna speak. But she can go, good night, sweetie.
And I'm gonna close it with Acts 18:26. So it says, he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, but when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. So that is to put out more the feminine side of us. You know, we don't gotta be no. You can pull a man to the side and you can just say, hey, this, but you don't got to embarrass him because the man has to be beyond reproach. And at that point, he has to be humble enough to receive that information.
I do want to hear what Ms. Brown said.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Ma'am,
because,
once you're done, could you just close us out, please?
Okay, well, let me.
No, I didn't. You said you were going into the stop it and it echoed a little bit. What was the last name, James? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. It said just something, then I heard then it went down.
What'd you say?
What'd you say, James?
I wanted to speak more into that topic, but I know she wanted to close out. So.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I was listening. I heard you, but it mumbled. It went, in and out.
It's fumbly, but we're gonna get it together.
That's all right. It's fine, y'all. We getting there.
Now, but I did want to hear what you have to say about the initial integration of the Black female in the military. I'll try to explain that to her, but she says they have their own inspirations and desires.
Well, if you look at the history, we came into the military because a lot of jobs that the men were having, they left to go to war, and so we took those jobs over. And so then when things started heating up, they found that women were valuable in the military, whether outside of just nursing, that someone was welding ships. They were taking on a motorcycle. It's a Black sister. I can't think of her name to save my life, but she was doing the mail runs on a motorcycle from post to post to make sure that the men got their mail from their wives. So we were doing jobs that typically were men, and we were forced to do them because we had children back at home, or we had to have a livelihood for ourselves. So a lot of that was because men went to war and women had to step up and help out, and that helping out began to be effectively because sometimes some men didn't come home, and so the woman had to be responsible for raising that family and the breadwinner. So that's how we came in the military outside of nursing and some other things, is because the field started opening up where there was a need, and where there was a need, it was who could fill it, and it was the women. And did women fill it and do a good job? Yes, they did. So that showed that we were valuable to the Army, the Air Force, and whoever force we went into, that we could do the jobs you guys could do because some of y'all were dying on the battlefield.
Like the ones that built the airplanes in World War II.
Right. So we had to step up to help out, and our stepping up to help out made us be the kind of women we are today. So I'm very proud of the trailblazers before me, because they opened the door for people like myself to come into a corps of chaplains. Even though we're not a whole lot of us, but we're there, and we're just.
I got to create my own podcast. I like that. Because I got something I really want to say on a lot of that really bring back the balance that circles us away from each other. There's a circle that does not connect. That we need to connect back to, and that's where memory comes into, or what we call history. Because all the hysteria.
Yeah, because I didn't know what she just said is new to me.
And a lot of people don't know about a lot of
once
things.
you remember that lady's name, please send that information to me, ma'am, once you get a chance, because
she was Black. I can't think. I shouldn't know her name because I like to ride motorcycles. But if that was $1 million question, I just missed out on $1 million. But I would definitely pull her up, because she was in the Army and she rode the motorcycle, and she made sure she went. And back then, you got to think about it. They didn't have the payment.
What up with you, man? Y'all ain't gaming today?
Hold on, when to put your mic on mute. They didn't have the pavement of roads like they did back then. So she riding bumpy roads and a motorcycle seat that is not as comfortable like the Harley.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know which area she was doing this in? Was it local in America or was it overseas somewhere?
She was here in the United States. And a lot of it was
probably one of the type of Iroquois.
I'm going to look her up right now. She was East Coast, and I think she went as far as probably Texas, maybe. But I gotta look it up though. But I had to look up her history, so don't quote me on that until I look up her routes that she was responsible for. But she did some good. She did some good things. Her and some other ladies back in the day too. And actually, if you really want, honestly, if you guys ever in DC, go to the Women History Museum, and it'll show you a whole legacy of women that done a lot to help our men, because we had to help our men. We had to take care of our men.
What, Ms. Brown, again, that's the point I'm trying to prove. That's the point I'm trying to really, go back to or zig to, because it was never, see, the female, even at that time frame in mind, especially in the 18 and the 1950s, she was not thinking of anybody. She was thinking of her husband, or she was thinking of her child, or she was thinking of her father, because they were all interconnected. They were all interconnected. So, for instance, I remember the stories being told of military women, back when you would think of military women, but they were being joined in the military, and mainly because their husbands was over there. So they'll meet a man at the bar, not a bar, but how a lot of people don't know how they were integrated at the time. So I don't want to get into that. I think I need to make another story about that, so you can see. They were integrated, and they married, and they had responsibilities to and fro each other. So it was all family tied. And a lot of people don't know, especially in the early days of the mail runs, especially in America, they were all, I don't want to say the tribe, but they were all Black American Negro routes. You know what I'm saying? Especially the what you call the Canarsie tribes or the Iroquois and things of that nature. They were all, these are the first mail runners that back in the day, they would do it on foot. Mm-hmm. I don't know, they would run the mail, so that's why I'm thinking, she even got that idea from. And then later on, they got that same idea. If you go to the motorcycle, here I talk about motorcycles a lot. But one of the first motorcycles was created off the Black man, known as the engine. You know what I'm saying? They later called it the Indian. You know what I'm saying? The Indian is later turned to Indian Jeeps, Indian motorcycles. But the whole idea in the first place to get it started was the engine, was the Negro man. You know what I'm saying? And, I think we need something directly centered on that too.
Okay, to answer your question was, her name was Bessie Springfield. She was the first African American woman to go across country.
Bessie Springfield.
Cross country.
Bessie. She was the first one to go across to do the cross country ride. She was one of the first at the age of 19.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now. Age of 19.
Where did she come from? What state and area? New York?
She was the first African American woman to ride her motorcycle across the United States solo. Her feat was credited with breaking down barriers for both women and African American motorcycles. She was born February 9, 1911 in Kingston, Jamaica.
Ain't that today? February 9th is today, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
She thought of and never forgot. She still lives.
All right, ma'am. Say it again.
1911 to 1993.
Wow. So
Where was she born at again?
She was born. Hold on. She was February in Jamaica. Was the daughter of Mary Ellis and domestic servant and Jane Ferguson. Her employee Bessie. They employed Bessie and their parents migrated to Boston, Massachusetts. Both died of smallpox. She was an orphan and was 5 years old. She was adopted by a wealthy Irish woman who raised her as Catholic. It is unclear when and why Bessie, rather than Betsy, became her given name. On her 16th birthday, gave her a motorcycle, even though she learned how to ride on her own.
Ain't that something?
Look at God.
And then during World War II, she worked for the United States Army as a civilian motorcycle dispatch rider, carrying documents between domestic bases, on her Harley Davidson bike. The only woman in her unit, she completed rigorous training maneuvers, including learning how to weave a bridge from a rope and tree limbs to cross swamps. She regularly encountered racial prejudice while on the road.
That used to be a probie question, Debbie.
Huh?
That used to be a probie question back in the day.
Right. Who was the first woman?
That's why I knew it was Essie anyway. I just couldn't tell you everything she did, but I know she was one of the first Black ladies that rode coast to coast.
Right. So there we have it, guys. Some good history about us Black women and what we did too. And women in general.
James, thank you so much, man, because that is quite the coincidence, as well as the greatest piece of information that can occur today. So,
it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. That's a little bit about Negro history. I hate to say Black history. I despise that word on so many levels. But at the same time, that really is, that presents its actual time and date. Bless her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy.
Bessie Springfield, age 19. February 9th. Okay, coast to coast. Coast to coast meaning from like Texas to upstate New York or
No,
Canada.
if you go
And
out coast to coast, it means from East Coast to West Coast. So if
Good
you're
stuff.
in New York, you going New York to California. If you in Florida, you going Florida to California. It's all the West Coast in the from one in Pacific River to the Atlantic River, Ocean, not river. Sorry, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, going to one end to the other end.
What you talking about? Four Corners?
No, we talking about what she meant by coast to coast riding.
Oh yeah, from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Right, right, right.
From Myrtle Beach to from Myrtle Beach to Venice, nigga. That's coast to coast.
That's why I did the seas, because I did Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. If you go
right. I was just saying, you go to whatever beach you want to go to, nigga. All this from coast to coast.
You out of control. But yeah, James, if you don't mind, can you go ahead and take us out in prayer? Yes, thank you.
And if I'm not familiar, Deb, I think one of her friends was the first black woman that went Four Corners, but I can't remember her name. There's a lot of people that done did some things
She
out
wasn't
there.
riding by herself for sure, was she? Or she? I know she
Yeah,
was
she wrote it. She wrote it from Key West to Maine, from Maine to Seattle, Seattle to San Diego, and back across.
She was by herself.
That's an amazing accomplishment, even today.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and people still do, and they still do it even now till today.
Yeah. I'm thinking,
but that's a biker thing. You wouldn't know nothing about that, though, son.
No, but I'm still thinking. I got a little mini bike now.
It's a biker thing, man. Don't worry about it. It ain't nothing.
Me personally, I like all of that. If I'm gonna get a bike, I need something with a capsule on it. One of them Jetson bikes. So
they make those too. They make those too. Yeah, we call them punk bikes. Nigga, get a Harley, nigga.
I need something quiet and quick. You ain't gonna see me.
Yeah, I know you like them You like those rice burners, is what you saying.
Yeah, I want something like a ninja.
And let you know, rice burners are not American.
See, like I said again. Like I said again, though, me personally, I want to fly. I don't want to be right. The day they come out with, they present one of them flying objects or something like that, a flying car, a flying bike.
Shoot, they got that stuff now, man. Jetpacks, all kind of crap. Now you ain't even seeing them.
I need something simple and easy, man.
Oh, don't worry, it's gonna be a whole lot better in 10 more years. Trust me.
Yeah. I seen some stuff, man. I seen some real nice.
By that time, I'll be saying, "Fly on, boy, fly on," because I'll be too old.
You gonna see me, man? I'll be out there flying.
I'll be there watching you, and I'll come to get you if you crash, nigga.
Please do, because that time,
I got you.
That's where I'm at. I always like the bike, man, but we get on that bike and I think I crashed on a moped. I said, never again. Oh yeah.
No. Well, look, they say once again, something you was talking about earlier. If you don't get back up on it, then you ain't a rider.
That too. I'm over flyer.
And that falls under something you just said a little earlier, right? That's the fight in you, right?
Fighting through the storm.
But listen again.
That's right, baby.
Those are degrees, though. You got to remember something. Degrees.
You got to get back up.
You can cook something for a long time at 100.
Hey sis, you going over an hour and a half. We're gonna keep talking. Close us out.
Father God, we come to you humble as we know how, and we'd like to say thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for tomorrow, and of course, thank you for yesterday. Father God, we pray that our families are committed to safety. Our families are protected. You push us over the realm and under your bosom, oh Lord. Help us push through in these times. Father God, we need you. Father God, we love you. And Father God, we just got to have you. Father God, there is no one else above you. And we thank you, Lord. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for Wendell, oh Lord. Thank you for Mrs. Brown, oh Lord. Thank you for my honey James. Father God, touch him. Hallelujah. Father God, and thank you for this great podcast. And thank you for giving us another means and ways of communicating with each other. So though we are far, we are still close. And I ask and I pray that you help me get this podcast going. And it's all in love and positivity, oh Lord. Humble me down enough to show what it is that I want to bring forth into this
In Jesus' name, amen.
And Jesus wept. Not today.
Peace out, y'all.
Too much for himself. Love you, Mel.
All right, love y'all too. Have a good night, y'all.
Love you, yes. Good night.
Okay, love y'all too.